Hey everyone, Dr. Brian Scott with you. This is insighttotheendtimes.com. We are studying Bible verses on the one hand and current events in the world on the other hand, and trying to bring them together to see if they correlate in terms of where are we on God's timetable. And the answer is we're getting very close to the end of this age that we're living in. This is episode number 382. We have shared a lot of podcasts with you. They're short, about 6, 7, 8 minutes in length, but they highlight either current events that are occurring or they highlight understanding of scriptural references and where we are placed on this end time timetable of God. We're getting very, very close, of course, to what will be the end. That would mean the pre-tribulation rapture of the church will occur. The 7 years of tribulation will begin. The Antichrist will be revealed, and we'll end up with the battle of Armageddon at the tail end of that 7 years, followed by Jesus coming back to the earth to rule and reign for 1,000 years. So we're very, very close to that. We're closer than we've ever been. Let's put it that way. The last couple of days, I've been sharing with you some articles that I read in our national paper here in Canada. These are articles that came out on the weekend of June the 3rd, and they point out some issues that are occurring in our society as it pertains to gender activism and gender fluidity and gender choices and so on and so forth. And yesterday and today, we're looking at how our Supreme Court of Canada responded to an action that was brought before them on appeal, whether or not an individual has the right to question the way the school system is working and what they are proposing to the kids versus a teacher whose response to being the question being asked is, that man's bigoted and that man is hateful. Oh, that's an easy response from a lot of people when you don't agree with a position that they agree with, is for them to come back with pretty harsh words. Anyways, the court came out and essentially found in favor of gender activism, that the comments that the man made, which were very hurtful, harmful, you might say, he had the right to say them because gender activism is important and should be supported. So the other side, which was questioning whether or not we should be teaching things of that nature, that was thrown out. I want to read some more thoughts that came out of this article. And it says, a more appropriate response would have been a content-neutral approach. And that would simply look at the issue as opposed to whether or not we're going to support a new social climate or social trend here. The result is almost a foregone conclusion in Canada. The court assigned more weight to the teacher's expressions than it did to a fair and impartial trial being held here, based simply on content. So the issue, if I can simplify it, the issue is, here's a content issue and here is a response issue. And the response issue took on more weight than the content. The right to express a view was shut down in favor of the person supporting the gender issue. So let me read some more thoughts here. In one of our provinces here in Canada, the education guide is very radical as it pertains to gender. Here's a prime example. There's a lesson plan for a class of kids in kindergarten to grade 3. Now we're talking about children who are from like 4 to 8 years of age, essentially. We're talking about very, very young people, very, very young minds. Here's the lesson plan. They are to read a book about a male child who wants to identify as a girl. So the teachers are to explain that children get to choose if they are boys or girls. And the parents who say otherwise are wrong. Teaching kids and instructing them about biological sex issues should have no bearing on how they behave in society. More practically, the best practice for gender in schools is to allow students to use whatever washroom or change room they desire to use based on their self-identification. This is ongoing right now in our schools and in the news. We're hearing more and more about this, all kinds of things happening in this respect. It goes on here to say that the United Kingdom has done some research, and the data shows that gender-neutral facilities create or generate a vastly disproportionate number of sexual violence complaints compared to single-sex washrooms. Does that surprise you at all? The court that heard this case, it's as if they pruned the comments and quotes that they wanted to use and express them as fact, proven fact, when in effect, they're basically opinions. So in conclusion, in this article, it says gender ideology in our nation has gone from an academic theory taught in undergraduate university courses. Notice the term, academic theory only, but it's gone from that to a dogmatic belief taught to school children as truth. This ideology holds that a person's self-identified gender and not their biological sex should be treated as fact. Wow. Now we're entitled, every one of us, to have views on this, whether it's pro or con or maybe neutral. We're all entitled to have views on this. That's part of who we are as individuals. We have these freedoms. But it's now being treated in our schools and in our courts, it seems, as an objective truth, contrary to what the Bible would say, for instance. And that means that if I don't have the same view as that article or the previous article, then I'm going to be castigated. But don't I have the right to a fair and impartial treatment, just like we're required to provide these other individuals who are taking us in a different direction? That's the whole point of everything right now, is we have to be inclusive and equality and diverse, but only if we agree with the people on their status, on their point of view. Otherwise, it doesn't apply to us. It applies to them, but not to us. All of that to say this: life is confusing, but the Bible says where envy and strife are, there will be confusion in every evil type of work. And that represents perilous times, and that's where we're living, because we're getting very, very close. Things are going off the rails so easily and so quickly. Well, we're going to shift gears tomorrow and talk about some other interesting end time events coming up here in the very near future. Sure appreciate you being with us. See you tomorrow. Call you blessed. Bye for now.